Good morning, traders. Today is the 13th of June. My name is Mark Owen, and this is the morning update from Phoenix Blue. Okay, so yesterday was a very quiet day in terms of news, but what we did see was a major move on the Canadian dollar, strength across the board. We'll have a look at the Canadian dollar shortly, but what news do we have today? Okay, so coming up today at 9:30 UK time, we have the CPI data year on year, and that's forecast to come in at 2.7%. So what we're looking for here, guys, is a number that's greater than 2.7 or something lower than 2.7. A deviation either side will be seen as stronger or weaker for this particular currency. So anything greater than 2.7, we should potentially see some bullish impact. The question is, with all the uncertainty lying around sterling at the minute, will even good news get this market to rally? Well, only time will tell. Okay, and then at 1:30 p.m. we've got the US dollar PPI month on month. That's forecast to come in at 0.0%, down from the previous reading of 0.5%. Now, any sort of news now regarding the US dollar this week is going to be paramount because they've got the rate announcement and rate statement tomorrow evening. So obviously, good news here will be taken very kindly towards the rate increase that's forecast tomorrow. Okay, so let's have a look at the charts. Okay, so the dollar index, what do we see? Well, we can see that the market is on the weekly chart is pretty clear, but if you look at smaller time frames, it gets a little bit choppy and a little bit uneven. So we're seeing a downward channel. We're seeing price hit a support level at the 38.2. We're seeing twin towers on the weekly chart, and that's a rejection of a support level. We've also got a COT extreme. So last week was a bullish candle at support. So the preference here, according to price action and technical reading, would expect some sort of correction here towards the upper part of the channel. So technically bullish on the US dollar short term, and then according to the commitment of traders, we're also bullish the dollar index right now, but that's just based on a couple of things here. And predominantly that will be the short term, okay? Because the longer term trend is down. Don't forget that. If you are a trend trader, then stay away from going long the dollar index. So how does that look on the euro? Well, what I've done is I've dropped down a smaller time frame. We're actually on the 4-hour chart here, and what you can see is you've got a couple of channels forming within one another here. And then up at the top, you've got a diamond top formation. So what we'd expect is a break either side of this diamond top. And realistically, the downside is what we would anticipate if the dollar index is going to hold and our technical views and COT bias plays out. Then we would expect to see the euro dollar somewhere drop down to the 108.50s into this grey zone here. Okay, so that's what we would anticipate, but obviously we're not going to try and trade that until we get a confirmation. Okay, so dollar yen, we've got two charts here. We've got in the inset here, this is the H4, and the bigger chart here, this is the daily chart. Now what we can see is that from previous readings, we'll know that the dollar yen is in a little bit of a trap, and there's no real clear direction. We're a triangle within a triangle. But what we can see on the daily chart here is you've got this nice sort of level formed, lower low. It comes down, and I can't call it a formed trend line yet, but it is a second touch, and we would be looking for a third further on. But what I'm looking at is this H4 here. And because we're trend followers, if this market is going to bounce and come somewhere up to the higher trend line up here, of the triangle, then what we would anticipate is that this market is going to break out of this little support, becomes resistance level, will retest, and will look to go long. So that will be a dollar yen potential. But just bear in mind that we do have USD major news tomorrow, and on Thursday we've got yen, the Japanese yen announcing their rate statements as well. So we've got two major news announcements this week regarding both markets here, so maybe it's not the smartest trade in the world. Okay, so moving on to sterling, well, you can see the reaction that we had off the daily chart just over here once we found that the Conservatives actually failed in their attempt to get the majority vote in the House of Parliament. They fell a number of seats short of getting total control and had to look for alternative parties to coincide with, and we now have a hung parliament. So it sort of weighs uncertainty on the British pound, and you can see that the markets didn't take kindly to it and sold off quite heavily, something around a 300-point drop. Now, the question is there going to be trading opportunities? Well, if we look at the 4-hour chart, this is where the market bottomed out during the news announcements. And then yesterday it came down to test again. So the market is taking this support level quite keenly, and we're having some sort of reaction. So I wouldn't be surprised now if we see a short-term bullish correction up into this grey zone, which is going to be somewhere in the region of 127.50, I think. So we'll look to see if that happens. And if we do, then it's at this point we'll see whether the market is likely to reverse or we're going to break through. So take your time, wait for the market to get to certain places, and then look to trade according to your rules. Okay, dollar CAD, well, we can see this was the real mover and shaker. We were looking for entries in at 135.70 that we've been calling for a few weeks now once it broke through. Unfortunately, it missed our entries by a hair's whisker, and then the market broke through. We did have a couple of trades in here, smaller risk ones at 135.08 was our entry, and both hit target, which was around this grey zone here. Unfortunately, it didn't give us the opportunity to get back in yesterday, because when it did break, it broke, and it broke with a vengeance. And in all honesty, I'm not a breakout trader, so I wouldn't take that trade. Anyone that did, well done, congratulations, fantastic trade, and it looks like now that Canadian dollar is going to head down to that 132.20, at which point we'll reassess and see if we're going to break through or whether we're going to continue to stick within this longer term channel. One thing that it did do, it gave us a couple of beautiful trades on New Zealand CAD. So we were short New Zealand CAD last week from up here. Where's my cursor? So you can see the green and red line. Oh, let's just go back. So we were short from this point here. We actually hit first target on one of the trades on Friday, and then yesterday we took some more money off, and then today we're just running. We've now broken last week's low, and we'll be looking for this market to run down in and around this 92.20, 92.50 area, where we'll be taking the rest of the money off the table. Now, the one thing I will say about shorting New Zealand, just check your spreads and swaps, guys. Predominantly your swaps, because Kiwi obviously is one of the highest interest rates, so to hold this overnight will cost you a lot of money with certain brokers. So do check your overnight swaps. Gold, we're going to skip on gold. Sorry guys, that slide, it shouldn't be in there. I'm going to stay away from that for one reason primarily, and that's to do with the FOMC. And I don't really want you to be looking at getting into gold just yet until we get some clear direction. Okay, so we do have a free trading event on June the 14th. That is tomorrow here in London. If this is an event you'd like to attend, so for beginners and newbie want to get into trading, then have a look at this link just down here at Eventbrite. Click on that. You can register your tickets. It's free to attend, and it starts at 4 p.m. in Victoria, London. If you are an experienced trader and you'd like to come along for a meetup, we do have a meetup session around 12 midday at the same venue. In order to attend that, all you're going to need to do is info@phoenixblue.co.uk. So a meetup, yeah, we're just going to discuss the markets, general economic matters, some technical setups, anything to do with trading, indicators, drawdowns, psychology of trading. Yeah, we know how lonely it is being a retail trader working from home, so we thought it'd be a great way to meet loads of new traders and just share ideas, and it's a casual get together, see what you think and share some ideas. Alright guys, well listen, have a great trading day, and we will be back tomorrow morning just before 9 o'clock. Bye bye.